how a New Zealand woman caught a tuna weighing over 400 kilograms, and why no one got a piece of the huge catch. This is truly a dream fish, in the sense that California resident Bo Limon couldn't even dream of such a catch. A complete novice in fishing, he went on a yacht trip with friends near the coast of San Diego. He cast a line for fun. He didn't expect much, and then something very heavy got hooked on his line. When he started reeling it in, it seemed to him that the hook had caught on something down there, right? At first he thought it was a rock, but then it turned out not to be. That is, it was a very large fish. It started thrashing from side to side. The lucky man couldn't handle the catch alone. He had to ask his friends and even the captain of the ship for help. Together, the men somehow managed to pull the giant onto the deck. The fish Bo Limon caught was rare in every sense, a crimson-winged opah. According to biologists, this beauty is actually found in the Hawaiian Islands and apparently swam into the cool California waters by accident. The crimson-winged opah is one of those rare and special fish that are capable of thermoregulation, similar to ours. That is, similar to actual thermochronology. The fact is that the muscles of these fish produce a lot of heat, and the temperature of the crimson-winged opah is for about 5 degrees higher than the temperature of the surrounding environment. Bo Limon's catch could only be weighed on land. It turned out that the novice broke the world record as the fish weighed 85.5 kilograms. But the International Association of Sport Fishing categorically refused to recognize Bo Limon's achievement. The fact is that, according to the rules, the record holder must strictly pull in the catch alone. In addition, the opah was badly mauled by sharks, and according to the regulations, the trophy must be undamaged. In order to record this record, a group of people, let's call it that, comes and records the result. And of course, the mandatory condition must be that the fisherman must catch the fish himself. Of course, sport fishermen are well aware of such nuances. That's why when, in 2020, American James Luckhart was very lucky in every sense, and a huge paddlefish took his bait, no one rushed to his aid, and the fisherman had to sweat a lot before he was recognized as a record holder. The American had to bring his catch to shore and hold it underwater for about 45 minutes, while he waited for employees of the state's Department of Wildlife Conservation, who recorded his record. Then the paddlefish had to be released, as it is a vulnerable species. The length of the caught, measured, and immediately released fish was 179 centimeters, and the weight was 66.5 kilograms. The weight, as the fisherman himself joked, was similar to his wife's parameters. However, James Luckhart lost his record holder title, as a few years later another angler caught a heavier paddlefish. Although among professional fishermen, catching this species is generally called a kind of fishing cheating. After all, a large part of the paddlefish's weight is due to its huge nose. The paddlefish is a very interesting fish. They reach 2 meters in length and 80 kilograms in weight. That is quite substantial. But their peculiarity, of course, is their nose. It's called a rostrum, which can occupy about a third of the entire body. This, one could say, is such a snout of the fish. Sharks have the same thing. This is generally a characteristic structure for cartilaginous fish. In general, there are many such disagreements among athletes today. Some are categorically against modern technology and rely only on experience and skill. Others believe that all means are good for achieving a record. For example, fish finders, with the help of which they examine the bottom relief and, in essence, look for larger fish. They can determine the presence of fish, the size of the fish, the depth at which the fish lives, the bottom relief to which the fish may be attached. Also, now, one could say, a novelty is the measurement of water current speed and, accordingly, temperature. That is, based on this, one can significantly improve their fishing results. There is, of course, one principle that fans of sport fishing strictly adhere to: catch, weigh, release. Thus, professional fishermen do not harm the environment and do not deplete populations of rare species. The catch is only taken if it is severely injured, and throwing it back into the water would be pointless. Therefore, many use special barbless hooks. But special gear is required for a record catch. You can't pull in a fish the size of a person with an ordinary rod. It should be a good rod with a certain flexibility. A good line is needed, which also has a certain stretchability. Now there are innovations such as feeder gum. That is, it's a small rubber band that absorbs all the fish's jerk so that the trace, hook, and main line don't break. And, of course, the friction work on the reel is indispensable here, which also releases a little line during the fish's jerks so that the fish doesn't come off the hook. In this case, New Zealand resident Donna Pasco had a very good spinning rod. In 2014, the woman managed to pull in a tuna weighing 411 kilograms near Cape Reinga. Of course, the woman couldn't handle the giant alone. 3 more male fishermen came to her aid, but they admitted that they felt like the hero of Hemingway's famous novella, The Old Man and the Sea, when it was no longer clear who was pulling whom and where, and whether there would be a winner in this battle. And it took about 4 hours to pull the sea creature into the boat. In the end, it had to be lifted with a special winch. Releasing the fish back turned out to be a bad idea. After 4 hours of struggle, the giant was so weakened that it was already on its last breath in the boat. Witnesses calculated how many tuna sandwiches Donna Pasco could make. However, the woman didn't want to eat the fish, and she refused all offers from restaurants that were already rubbing their hands, coming up with catchy marketing slogans. 80% of tuna, of course, goes into making sushi. But the fisherwoman decided not to give away her trophy and made a stuffed animal out of it. In general, the value of the caught specimen was estimated at $2 million because it was a world record. Donna Pasco placed the stuffed tuna in her living room and named it Sea Picasso. Journalists managed to find out why the trophy received such a strange name. The woman admitted when she looks at the wonder fish, it still seems to her that it's some kind of surreal painting, and nothing like this actually happened to her. And this 2-meter giant is just the creation of a slightly mad artist.